Aloha, what's up everybody? Today we're going to talk about Project Bluebeam. I want to thank everyone in the live chat for waiting a little extra longer so I can put some finishing touches on the presentation today. This is going to be huge. I also want to just give a quick update over on my Patreon. I just uploaded a lot of different pictures and videos and stuff of my recent road trip out to Jackfest, to the Jackalope Festival, where I was one of the keynote speakers there. And I had a great time. I want to thank you guys for your support. A lot of people have supported me over the years, and Patreon is one of the best ways to do that. That and PayPal. There's a PayPal link right here. If you guys ever want to chip in, help out with whatever. I got bills and, you know, I'm a single dad and stuff. So that stuff really helps me out, and it allows me to make these presentations for you. So thank you guys so much. Give yourself a huge round of applause. What's up to Velma Helker in the chat? Says hi from Colorado. Good to see you. Let's jump into this. Let's jump right into this. I'm going to make sure my audio is working. Oh, it is working. Good. Let's jump into this. Project Bluebeam. Now, I've covered this quite a few different times. I'm going to give you an alternative theory on Project Bluebeam. First, I'll explain what it is. Simply put, what is Project Bluebeam? It's one of the biggest grand conspiracies that people have been talking about for at least a decade now. Probably 2 decades, close to 2. One of the biggest conspiracies that involves the New World Order, that involves secret governments, secret government technology, UFOs. Strangely enough, not beams of light though, but holograms, sky holograms that are projected up into the sky, and people are meant to see things that are not really there. Alien invasions. We're going to cover that, all of that, and much more here on today's show. So, welcome. It's good to have you guys. Let's jump right into Project Bluebeam. What are the tenets? There are 4 main tenets of Project Bluebeam. Those basically include that there would be these man-made earthquakes all around the world in specific areas. And these earthquakes would be designed or implemented purposefully by mankind in order to crack the ground open and discover artifacts that would shed new light on ancient religions, the major religions of the world, and that people would change their mind about their very religions, and that this was all some sort of orchestrated hoax by the Illuminati or the Freemasons or the government, because they want to create a one world religion. So they want to smash everybody's individual religions by cracking open the ground and allowing new discoveries in the form of artifacts and new information from within the earth to come to the surface, and then that would change people's perspectives on history. Now, as we go, please keep this in mind. My perspective has been changing about history. Mostly that history as we know it has been falsified. That academics' version of history is completely wrong, and that it's fabricated, it's made up, it's not true. And that the school systems teach lies, whether they know it or whether they don't. George Washington did not have wooden teeth. Benjamin Franklin did not invent the light bulb, and so on and so forth, right? So we are constantly rediscovering a new history, a new series and sequence of events that have happened in our past. I call this Ancient Oblivion, which is the name of my book series. So these earthquakes would rip open the ground and allow new information to be shed upon these religions, and essentially destroying those religions. After that, we would have technology that we're unaware of that can produce holograms high into the atmosphere. Now, these holograms are supposed to produce many different images, but the main one is going to be the image of each major religion. What's up, Boom Boom? Good to see you. The main proponent of each religion. So if you're a Christian, you would see a hologram of Jesus up above your city, or maybe a cross or something. If you're a Muslim, you would see a hologram of Muhammad or possibly Allah or something up above your local city, and so on and so forth. Krishna, all the major players of all the major religions, the major characters, the major avatars of those religions. People are supposed to see this spread into the sky, and it's supposed to represent some sort of second coming of their religious figures that they worship and adore. And this is interesting to me because it's right after they've supposedly just broken down all the religious systems, right? But this is the second thing that's supposed to happen, is that there's supposed to be these holograms up in the heavens, up in the sky. And hold on one second. I just want to give a shout out to Bree. What's up, Bree? Good to have you. Thank you for your support. Good to see you in the chat. This concept was proposed by a man named Sergei Monast. Sergei Monast. And we've got the new information about the religions. We've got the earthquakes across the world. We've got, let's see, what was next here? Hold on, I just had a brain fart. 1 second. Oh, yeah. So they would discredit religions. There would be a global space show up in the heavens with these holograms. Oh, mind control, that's next. So from these fake gods that would rise up, the people would hear through like a voice-to-skull type of technology, some sort of instructions or voices telling them how to live their lives, telling them what to do or what not to do. And then lastly, that would be followed up by a new world order. The government would come in and sweep in and save the day, leading everybody to 15-minute cities and God knows what in this new world order. And then technological manipulation. People would be manipulated. Technology would sort of be out of control and used against us. So those are the tenets of Project Bluebeam. The main one is holograms in the sky, aliens coming into our world. It's supposed to be a fake alien invasion. I'm going to open your mind right now about an alternative theory, my own theory on this. We're going to start at the beginning with the earthquakes, uncovering ancient information and new archaeological evidence for a different historical record. Many of you fringe theorists and fringe researchers, autodidactics and self-taughts out there, you've already seen and uncovered things like the mud floods, right? People have seen that there are entire civilizations, cities, technologies that are being uncovered all of the time in like 30, 40, 50, 60 feet of mud, of debris, of dirt and rock. Where is all this stuff coming from? Where does this mud come from? Right? Why are all of these things buried? They're not buried by humans. We like to blame humans first. I recommend this. Blame nature first. Put nature in its place, which is first and foremost. The earth is where we live. We live within a closed system. And so the frequency of the earth, the resonant energy of the earth, vibrates through us. And it affects us first and foremost. So it's not us doing anything. It is the earth that is doing it. And we respond as the earth goes through these changes. Whenever the earth changes its frequency, it starts to vibrate. Because that's really what a frequency is. It's a vibration. The earth starts to change its vibe. So we start transitioning into different eras. We might have a stable era if the vibration stays the same for a while, but when that vibration starts to go into flux, we start going into chaotic eras. When that starts to happen, it manifests physically in the form of earthquakes, actual vibrations, the earth vibrating. And when that happens, Lucky, what's up, Lucky? Welcome to my channel. When the earth starts to vibrate, it causes worldwide earthquakes, shaking and moving, and this causes what's known as liquefaction, where the inner earth ocean and waters and rivers and stuff, those waters rise up to the surface and they mix with all the mud and muck and sand and debris, and we have mudslides the world across. The ancient world literally becomes buried, physically becomes buried. It becomes physically covered up, not by any human, not by some secret society, but by Mother Nature herself. Now, are there survivors of these mud floods and stuff that are aware of what's happening and, they've seen it firsthand for themselves and they might survive and pass this story on from generation to generation so that their progeny can prepare for this apocalyptic event that I call the plasma apocalypse? I think so. Now, as you can see, I'm putting up these different pictures of the ancient world, where people lived in the earth, where the rocks were more malleable. They weren't rock back then. They were clay and they were mud, and you could shape them easier because everything then was less dense. and therefore less heavy for a time. But as we move forward, things get heavier. Just like Doc in Back to the Future, he always says, this is heavy. Or no, Marty says, this is heavy. And then Doc corrects him and says, is there something wrong with the Earth's gravitational pull in the future? Which that's also the truth in movies. There is gravity as it's discussed, okay? I believe in density and buoyancy and stuff, but gravity, as people are taught, is getting stronger and stronger and stronger as time moves forward. The day will come when the atmosphere depressurizes and what we call and have come to know as gravity will disappear. It will be zero gravity. I like to say we go from 5G to 0G, okay? That's a play on the cellular towers and stuff. But as you can see, these were the mud people of prior post-apocalyptic civilizations. They built everything out of the mud or the clay, and they allowed it to dry and harden as things became more dense over time. But the reason I'm showing all of this stuff is because there are secrets hidden within the chambers of Sheol, within the Underdark and the Underworld and the Upside Down, inside of the hollow recesses of the world below us, which exists. Academics would have us believe otherwise, that the Sphinx is not actually guarding any secret catacombs or cave systems or the halls of Amenti, that there is nothing underneath the Great Pyramids or Khufu or any of these pyramids in Egypt. I actually have a theory that there's another Sphinx that is probably yet to be found, still buried underneath the sand. But the ancient records, like the one example would be the Emerald Tablets. They speak of cavernous systems in these places of power, places where power would come up out of the earth. And they spoke of buildings that were purposefully designed to withstand a worldwide deluge, a flooding of the earth, and a fire that would come as well. There would be two apocalyptic cycles, one by water, where the earth would be flooded, and it still is. In case you would like proof, it's called the ocean. Not the oceans, not the seven seas, the ocean, the flood. It's still here, right? Anyways, these buildings were built to house information, to house power and artifacts and things like that, to keep them safe during these cataclysms, because the ancients that survived these cataclysms knew of them. They prepared for them. They built their buildings around them. And then, of course, we have the recent discovery of, remember they scanned the region underneath the Great Pyramids in Egypt, right? The pyramid complex. And they saw that there were these columns underneath the pyramid of Khufu, at the very least. There are these huge pillars that go down underneath the earth, just like how you see it right there in the example. And they have like these spirals and stuff that go around them. A lot of people are speculating right now on what that is. But here's the point: there is, and there are, anomalies and artifacts and information and wondrous and wonder-filled and wonderful things to be found within the earth that are buried right now. The earth continually buries things time and time again. The people will live inside of the earth many times, especially whenever the surface is full of monsters and giant insects and freaking robots out of control and stuff, as you will see by the end of this presentation, that all that stuff is going to come to pass. But the people lived down inside of the earth. There are chambers, there are cave systems that go from the surface all the way down. Some are larger, the largest openings being up at the North Pole, but those cave systems, they spread out like a bush in the earth or like a tree in the earth. Here's another example of the ancient world being covered up, and therefore ancient information being literally and physically covered up by Mother Nature. Look at all that mud. That's about 50 feet of mud right there. This was the Temple of Artemis in Turkey that was excavated in 1912. A lot of these things were excavated and then reburied, or then repositioned, or then destroyed, and then re-put it back together in different ways, in different shapes, in different places, right? But it is no secret that the earth holds secrets, that the earth buries things, and then it will bring those secrets back to life, just like it talks about in the Bible in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. It says that the things that, I'm going to paraphrase, the things that are buried will be uncovered, right? The things that are dark will come to light, that where there was no knowledge, there will be knowledge. You know what I mean? That we see, to quote more directly, we see now in a mirror darkly. We see a poor, dark reflection now. We have limited knowledge now compared to the world that once was, when the atmosphere was electrically amplified and it stimulated your very cellular structure and went through your body and activated your chakras and your soul and your spirit and your synapses, your brain. You used more of your brain and could think better and longer and had more energy. For years and decades, people thought that the moai over in Easter Island were just heads, just conveniently just placed in these particular locations in the ground. They're not. You see how they're tilted? Some of them are tilted and stuff. It's not because the head fell over. That's an entire body under the ground. It sank down into the earth. These were not buried. Right? This is just an artist's impression, but only recently they started to excavate some of the heads of these moai, and they discovered, oh, they're not just heads. They're entire statues, they're entire bodies. They sank down into the earth. When the earth starts to shake and that water rises, it creates quicksand, basically. Quicksand, it creates liquefaction where heavy things on top will sink down, and other things that are down below, already sunken, they rise up to the surface. This is the quintessential story of Atlantis. So, a part of Project Bluebeam states that the governments of the world will cause these earthquakes. I beg to differ. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible at all. But do you know how big the earth is? Like, I'm sorry, but humanity is a speck. All the population of the entire earth could fit into one city. The governments are not as powerful as the whole earth. The governments of the world cannot cover the whole earth. I know a lot of people think they're spraying the whole earth with chemtrails and stuff right now. They're not. It's impossible to cover the entire sky. It's that big. It's that huge. It is Mother Nature that does these things. Now, mankind, some people within the ranks of mankind might be aware of what's happening. They might happily take credit or allow the population to think that it's them doing it, and they use that to their advantage because they're knowledgeable, they're intelligent. Anyways, these are like, the ant people, the people that lived inside of the earth, the hollow earth denizens and citizens. They built inside of the earth, and and the earth is cracking open right now. Okay. And I know that Tesla made an earthquake, weaponry or whatever. I know that it's possible to shake the earth in different places. But listen, the earth does it naturally, and it does it in cyclical patterns. You're witnessing it right now with all of these mega earthquakes that are happening across the world, with all of these strange lights that are being seen in the sky, with all of these wildfires that are all over the place. What's happening? Inside of the earth, down in the hollow earth, they have gases. They have atmosphere down there. They also, according to the legends, have gigantic, titanic plants and animals. The plants are constantly producing oxygen, which is going to fill up these cavernous areas and increase the pressure within the earth, which needs a release from time to time. That pressure needs a release. Those organic beings and plants and animals and stuff down there, they'll die and stuff, and they'll add nitrogen to the mix. Where do you think the nitrogen and the oxygen in our atmosphere up here on the surface comes from? The heart of the earth, inside of the earth. The earth produces these things. It's not from snowball, slushy comets millions of years ago or anything. It is from inside of the earth. The earth is constantly producing life because the earth is alive. Anyway, as these gases fill up within the earth over time, the inside of the earth, the hollow portion here, and the outside of the earth both need a pressure release. It has to, from time to time, release the pressure that is building up. And if you pay attention to your songs and your lyrics and your music videos, many artists across time have already disclosed this to you. They've told you about the pressure release and needing a pressure release. Hold on, I'm just checking my chat, make sure everything's good. Oh, Fairy P says fire. Fire, Jay, thank you. What's up, Mac? Good to see you in the chat. All right, cool. Pakistan, I see you in the chat. All right, cool, let's continue on. So, the pressure release, right? All these gases, listen, the Earth's magnetic field that goes up into the sky and down into the pillars of the earth, which is what you're seeing here, the hollow earth, right? That magnetic field is going into flux. That magnetism is holding in those gases. When you have an area, like let's say this area right here, it has a strong force field, which is a magnetic field, around it, keeping these gases in and keeping the inner world pressurized. When it has a blip and it messes up and it goes into flux in this particular region, those gases will release. It creates a window. And those gases explode up out of those places, and they will burst and they will open up the earth in this area. And guess what happens? It starts to shake. Can I make it shake? No, I cannot. Hold up. There it is. It starts to shake, right? We get earthquakes. It's because of the gases that are rushing up through these cavernous systems and splitting the earth open, and parts of it are falling down. And this reveals cave systems and cities and technology and artifacts and stuff like that, right? So that tenet of Project Bluebeam is true. The part that's probably not true behind it, in my opinion, is that it's the government, it's humans. We're so quick to just take all the credit when it's really Mother Nature. So yes, earthquakes splitting open. The earth is hollow. There was a man named Sims. He proposed the hollow earth theory. This is actually just a monument dedicated to him. You can see it looks like a toroidal field or a donut. Or a bagel. If you watch the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, there's a lot of symbolism there, and I did decode that movie, and it's on my Truth in Movies playlist. Here's another monument to the same guy. Here's just some ancient structures, the pyramids, the ancient gods or whatnot, and stuff like that. Also hidden within the earth are dead things, okay? Giants specifically, not just gigantic animals or monsters or creatures that I call phantazoids, that modern academics will call dinosaurs, but actual gigantic and titanic human beings. The stories go that those titans of old, those giants of old, sank down into the earth. So that's why we don't have a whole lot of giant bones up here on the surface, because liquefaction causes those heavy things to sink down into the earth. This is actually, I've been here. I know it looks like it's toes coming up out of the ground. I've been here. This is in Fort Collins. It's a giant park. I took my son here. This is cement. So don't let this trick you. I have a picture of me standing on this too. But just because it's not real doesn't mean it doesn't represent something that is and was. Okay. Also, the catacombs beneath the earth, right? Millions and millions of human beings that were just gathered up from cemeteries, where they had mass graves for unknown reasons or for poor reasons, like the plague, which I don't buy that. I don't buy that story. They were all put down in these catacombs, right? Which were cave systems. Some might have had new additions, little hallways that were added to these pre-existing cave systems. And some people were just tossed down in there. All the bones were tossed down in there. I'm going to cut right to the chase with the catacombs. Okay. These are places of power. Places of power are places where those gases rush up through the caves of the earth. They ionize, they become geoplasmas, life-giving cold plasma that reinvigorates the cellular structure of DNA and humans and bones. Bones are basically like the batteries of your body, and they turn them on. And your stem cells and stuff, they go back into work. They start creating the body. And you get life after death. It brings people back to life. This is the zombie apocalypse, as many people have, it's the plasma apocalypse is every apocalypse put together. But anyways, that's why all these people are put down here. Usually prestigious people, usually people who are, related to nobles and whatnot. But that's why they do this. And then they'll build specialized buildings that utilize this knowledge so that they focus those geoplasmas come up through ventilations underneath the building that we call cathedrals. And then the people go into these buildings and they bathe in these cold geoplasmas, these life-giving, reinvigorating, energetic streams. And they literally bathe in it. They'll line their walls with pipe organs. They'll play music to tune these frequencies, these plasmas and stuff. But back to the earthquakes. Okay, that's one of the parts of Project Bluebeams. It would start with earthquakes. You're seeing it now. All of these earthquakes. The latest large one was the 8.8, right? Off of Kamchatka, Russia, or whatever you say it. 8.8, which is also symbolic. Okay, if you read my newest book or my older book, I do discuss the 88 symbolism, and I tell you exactly what that means and how it pertains to Hyperborea and new lands that will emerge in the coming times. But we've seen this. We've seen massive earthquakes all around the world, especially around the Ring of Fire and especially up in the Arctic Circle region, right? That's because the gases are being released in those areas. They're traveling through the largest openings, here, that take you down into the inner earth. Portals, cave systems, passageways, hallways. They're referred to as many different things over time, but this is where you're going to have the most activity, is where these openings that take you into another world are and exist, right? Now, keep this in mind as well. It's not like you could just freely come and go, okay? The earth has barriers, some physical, that keep nations like Gog and Magog down in and don't allow them to escape. Some are electromagnetic in nature, literally electricity, literally pressure that's too high, you can't walk through it, or magnetism or whatever, right? Anyways, these are all the different places where we've seen huge earthquakes, gigantic in magnitude. A 9.2, I mean, these are unheard of. In 2011, 9.1, 8.6, 8.8, etc., all across the board. This is happening now. So like I said, those gases rise up through the earth. They rush. They move so fast, and they move against one another, and they move against the earth that they create friction or static electricity. They ionize. The gases become plasmas, like lightning, basically, or like how you see in a plasma ball, right? They're ball lightning, they're plasma streamers, they're plasma filaments. They rush up through these cave systems, and they burst straight up into the sky. And this is where the hologram comes into play, right? Our holograms today suck, okay, in my opinion. I'm sure people are going to make excuse. Everyone that wants to take credit as a human being and say, oh no, it's the Illuminati, oh, it's Freemasons, no, they have technologies you just don't understand. I believe that to a degree, but I'm not going to give them all the credit. Mother Nature can do vastly better and larger and put on a way bigger show than that. Okay, that's a little hologram of a heart in the air that you could actually touch and interact with or whatever. And I already know people are going to say, well, yeah, that's now, but you know, they're already 50 years ahead of us and stuff. Listen, they can't cover the entire earth with holograms. It's too much space. Okay, just if you wanted to put a hologram of Jesus so everybody could see it in the United States, because Christianity is the main religion, you're going to have to project a hologram over every major city. And even then, it won't be easy for everybody to see. It's going to be way up in the sky. So now they'll say, well, these holograms are from space lasers and satellites, and they're high up enough. Well, they have to project onto something, and they're going to be projecting downwards, and it has to be very organized. This is quite the undertaking. I'm not saying it's impossible. What I am saying is that Mother Earth is going to be putting on the show. Thank you. It's my boy. He's just checking in with me. Mother Earth is going to be putting on this show. Not human beings, not the Illuminati, not Freemasons. This is the best we can do. This is the best I've seen, is these drone shows. They're not even holograms. They're just machines that are up there moving around in the sky. You can clearly tell. I mean, anybody that knows about them, you know, if you saw something like this and you're from the Stone Age, I guess you would, you know, be amazed. But you wouldn't think this is miraculous, or that this is Jesus coming, or this is a real actual thunderbird or a phoenix or whatever. We have an understanding when we see this type of technology. At least I do. Okay, I'm speaking from my own perspective. You would have to have so many drones if they're going to put on a drone show. You're going to have so much equipment and stuff across the world. And I know people are going to say, no, they've been preparing this for 50 years. They've been stockpiling and getting ready and stuff. But like I said, it's not impossible to make it look like there's a humanoid up in the sky, right? But this is locally. Even with these drone shows, you have to go back about 5 miles, go back about 10 miles. This will start getting lower and lower on the horizon, and until you won't see it, which means you have to make one of these everywhere, all over the place, like every 20 miles, 50 miles, I don't know, something very small like that. And then you have to cover every major city on Earth, right? these are pretty cool. I actually like to watch these drone shows and stuff, and they're highly symbolic too. So like this is basically these dragons, these fireworms are plasma, and they're showing you the truth, whether they know it or not. I think a lot of people tap into it intuitively. But anyways, there's going to be these holograms in the sky. I'll tell you exactly what those holograms are. They're the pictures that are given to us from antiquity, that people drew on rocks and carved out these stick figure shapes and these beams and these ladders and looks like giant caterpillars and strange shapes and stuff on the rocks, on stones. They're petroglyphs. These people who made these petroglyphs, they looked up into the heavens, into the sky during an apocalyptic event, and they saw shapes. And through pareidolia, and their own perception filters, one person might have seen Jesus up in the sky. Another person might have seen Odin. Another person might have seen a dragon. Another person might have seen a fireworm, or all sorts of different things. Regardless, they started drawing it however they saw it. Each one of them that made these petroglyphs, millions and millions, uncountable numbers of petroglyphs across the world, people were there. People that couldn't draw, people that could, they were all drawing out shapes they saw appearing in the sky. That wasn't Project Bluebeam, some technology from, another New World Order from a long time ago or whatever. It's a cyclical event that happens over and over and over up here on the surface and down below. It is those gases that rush up into the air and they shoot up as a beam, a pillar at first. Eric, hey, thanks for the donation, Eric. Let me give you a little heart in the chat. Appreciate you. Anyways, so this is what people are going to see. They're going to see sky pillars, right? These are some examples of modern day holograms. They have to project these holograms like onto glass or mesh, like a mesh sheet or something. This is Tupac rocking out as a hologram. You probably have seen, like you can see the mesh sheet up here, right? And they need something to project this upon. Well, these natural pillars that rise up from the earth, they will be projected onto an atmosphere that is full of fog and mist. Because whenever the atmosphere depressurizes, which is a huge part of all of this, it will create mist the world across. There will be clouds just appearing all over the place. This is why Jesus comes on the clouds. Now, if it's lasers, if it's actually a laser show, people would see that. They would see the lasers, they would see that the image, let's say it's a hologram that's made by a machine or something, they would see its source. They would see that behind it, there's light that is shining. Now, like I said, I'm not saying it's impossible, but this is our technology. Okay, there's these that I'm showing you. They're nice. Like these Tupac ones, the elephant and all that, that's nice. But this is down here on the ground. You won't find anything even remotely close to that up in the sky at all, except for those drone shows like I was showing you. Here's what you will find, though. You will find Mother Nature producing immaculate, beautiful, amazing, and radiant shows naturally every single night up in the sky. You just have to go towards the north, where the electromagnetic field is stronger. It's been doing this for a very long time. We just take it for granted. Wait until the day that this spreads across the earth, all around the world, and people will see those pillars of light shooting up from those cave systems and newly opened fresh cracks in the ground. And this is what you will see. This is what the Freemasonic organizations call the Age of Light, or Andalusius. This is when the earth lights up. When you watch your movies, they show you this at the very beginning. If you watch a Universal movie, they actually show you the whole earth full of these beams of light. People think it's like the sun behind the earth. It's not. It's beams of light shooting up from the earth, and it's exactly all these different colors. It would be different colors depending upon the different gases that are coming up out of the earth as well. Now, you'll also notice that whenever you have instances, these are not actual beams of light that are from gases that come up out of the earth. I'm using these as a type so that you can have a visual, so that you can envision it and use your imagination. Imagine that you have cavernous systems under the earth, and then you have those gases being released, rushing up through those cave systems, and then they ionize, they become plasma, they become light. Those lights burst up as a pillar, but as they continue higher up into the atmosphere, they start to branch out, exactly like you see here with this atmospheric condition that's created by light crystals. and fog and stuff whenever you have actual street lights or whatever, and that it creates it now. It creates a type of it now. This is an omen of what is to come. And if you take a look at all of them together, what else does it create? It creates the architectural style of so many of those cathedrals and building entrances and all that type of stuff. It's natural. We just copy it. That's all. But we're going to see these things come once again. People will see the lights shooting up into the sky and creating heavenly birds and firebirds and thunderbirds and phoenixes and people that appear to be holding out their arms or holding up the sky or hanging upon something, a crucifix or a tree or whatever it may be, right? We're already starting to see glimpses of this right now. These are omens. These are harbingers. They're signs of the end of the days. The end of the days as we keep track of them. The days will end. The earth will not end. The earth will continue on. It'll keep on going. But these are the beams. Now, why is it called Project Blue Beam? Because it's not a project. It's not a government project or a secret operation that humans are going to do. It is a secret historic event that some human beings are aware of. It is not Project Blue Beam. It's Project Blue Beam. Blue beams that rise up out of the earth in the form of ionized oxygen and nitrogen, which turns blue or bluish green, and they rise up out of the earth. It is people that had knowledge of when the blue beams would be projected up out of the earth. It has nothing to do with our advancements in technology. It has nothing to do with a secret cabal that wants to take over the world. That's the other part of it, is the Illuminati, the New World Order. Boston Ray Mudflood Adventures. What's up, man? Good to see you. High five. Now, I know this is a popular opinion. People are like, oh, they're trying to start the New World Order. They're trying to bring about the New World Order. It's here. It's here now. You live in a new world order. The order of the world to come is post-apocalyptic. It's called the Golden Age. It's when things stop sucking in this satanically backwards and upside down world that we live in, and we transfer into an actual new world. This is psychology that's being used against you. They want you to think that you're not a slave and you're fearing what is to come, when in reality, it's the opposite. You should be excited for what is to come because it's changing the current paradigm, which is a system that is in place to enslave you, that you're asleep, that many of you are sleepwalkers and you don't know it. And some of it is human caused. Some of it is our very own fault for not keeping with the ancient tenets and the old ways and repeating the stories and reminding ourselves of the truths of this world. Some of it's, we're to blame for some of it. Some of it's Mother Nature, just changing her energetic levels up here on the surface and charging that energy and taking it away from us so that we become tired and sleepy and in a state of sleep and hunger, you know, and it changes our norms up here on the surface. Now, I want to talk about this picture right here for just a moment. This is your quintessential typical UFO abduction picture. This is, you know, they always show the tractor beam or whatever. So I'm going to explain this, okay? Now, I know a lot of people, especially old school conspiracy theorists, they want to believe in flying saucers that look just like that. And they will always have a blue beam, like fire in the sky style. And it sucks people up and they go high up into the sky until they get sucked up into the UFO, right? This symbolism, this image right here is the keyhole. Okay, I'm sure the second I said that, some people are like, oh my God, I see it. It's the keyhole. There is a keyhole of the earth at the North Pole. What it is it is the blue beam, the largest one, the biggest one that everyone across the world will see because it will reach up to the dome, which I believe there is a firmament. This beam will shoot all the way up to what I call the apex of the dome, or the apex dome, right? The firmament bows in like an upside down bowl, but at the top, it bows downwards towards us like an eyeball. Okay, there's a hill up there. So it's an upside down bowl and then it bows inward at the top. That is the apex dome. That is that right there. And it lights up and it opens up. That's the depressurization point for the firmament. That beam shoots right up and it meets that circle in the sky, creating the keyhole. which is where people can leave if you have the technology, because that's when the closed system becomes an open system, that the firmament itself opens up. Otherworldly space travelers that I call fractalverse travelers, if they have the technology from alternate Earths, they can come down into this world through that doorway, through that star gate, right? And inversely, you can go down through the bottom portion of that keyhole and you can go into Wonderland. You can go down into the Hollow Earth, basically, right? So that's the symbolism behind that. And you'll see that all over the place. So the alien invasion, we'll get to in a second. This is the symbolism for the blue beams, especially those blue beams or pillars of light that people want to be coming out of the top of a pyramid for some unknown reason. Like, where did that even come from? How do we associate beams of light coming up from pyramids, specifically black pyramids like we see in Las Vegas, Luxor? Here we have the Sphinx again, right? And by the way, the word Sphinx has to do with squeezing, right? There's a body part that sounds kind of like Sphinx, and it's appropriate because within the earth, you have these guardians of this energy, which is this natural energy I've been describing to you in the form of geoplasmas. Those geoplasmas, it's not just electricity, it's information as well. It is the information of the earth. And whenever these people interact with it, it stimulates all your synapses and stuff, and it gives you information and prophecy and deeper levels of understanding. That's why they want you out of the cave systems. They want you to be guided by some official tour guide slave boy or whatever. They don't want you to touch the caves because your fingerprints might destroy it all or whatever. They don't want you to go down inside of the earth. Anyways, that's why, because you'll have revelation. You'll have knowledge of things that they don't want you to have knowledge of. This is black rock. This represents Rupus Nigra. All the pyramid symbolism, the earth can create pyramids. I just want to put that out there through resonance, through cymatics, right? And it's because of the energy that comes out of these holes, and the mud starts to vibrate. And I'm sure you guys have seen how different sounds affect liquid or fluid, right? That's called cymatics. Well, if you have the earth shaking and you got a whole bunch of mud and clay and debris and silt and stuff, right? And then you apply an electrical field or a beam that shoots up out of the center of it, it's going to attract it. It will come together. And as it gets really close to that powerful field, it will start to harden. It will lose its watery qualities. And then it will start to create these steps as it goes up. This is how volcanoes are created, in my opinion. But then we have man-made versions of that where we copied the volcanoes, aka the unfinished pyramids, which is what those are. Pyramid means fire inside, amid, right? And if I am amid the crowd, I am inside of the crowd. I'm in the middle of the crowd. That's literally what it means, in the middle of. Pyre is really fire, like a pyre, like a funeral pyre. It means fire. Also, it means light, right? Originally, fire was actually the word light, all right? Anyways, so the beam of light comes up out of the black rock at the center of the earth. That's this symbolism right here. It's the unfinished pyramid because it is a plasma volcano, right? All of our volcanoes today are places, just empty holes where they're places of power, okay? So every volcano on earth is a place where you will want to be in the time to come, because they won't be dangerous. They won't have lava and stuff like that. They will have life-giving energy erupting up out of them and probably be entrances down into the inner earth. But right now, they're not. Right now, that's just radioactive decay from where there was once radioactivity, electromagnetism that was being stored and kept by crystals and metals and stuff. And people would go seek these out because they would often glow. And they would use them for health benefits and stuff. Anyways, yes, here's some more examples. I like kind of went on a tangent there. More examples of the pyramids, the light coming up out of the top of the pyramids. This is your projection. This is your project or your project blue beam. It doesn't have to be blue either, okay? But many of them will be blue because of the types of gases that the inner earth creates. It also creates other gases and elements as well, okay? But mostly nitrogen and oxygen. So on these places, this is why these pyramids are built there, is they're constructed over places of power so that these nobles could live there and visit there and bathe in this and live longer and extend their lifespans and be stronger and have more knowledge and stuff. And that's why it's off limits to, you know, peasants and whatnot. Now, here's a real volcano. Watch, you'll see lightning flashing inside of this bad boy, right? Like I said, you can, if you pay attention, you can see remnants of the old world now. It might be erupting. By the way, this is not melted rock. Okay, it's melted metal that mixes with earth. That's magma, all right? It's not rock. It's not stone that melts or anything like that. It's melted metal, right? And that metal mixes with soil and sand and all that stuff, right? And it comes up just like that. But the reason you see electricity right there is because of the gases that are coming up and the electrical field that is mixing with those and ionizing those gases. And we get lightning that comes up out of volcanoes, not down from above, but from the earth. That's a geoplasma. That's earth lightning. Hey, I am too. Welcome to my channel. Good to see you. So you see that? How the lightning comes up out of the volcano, right? These are the places of power. Now the largest volcano, or the largest opening, the largest earth tower, earth mound in the world, according to tradition and comparative mythology and comparative religious studies, is Mount Meru. It's the black rock. It's Rupus Nigra at the middle of the world. Now that rock is only black every other cycle. That rock is black now because of all the oxidation that has happened to it. Because it's it's probably like a shiny metallic type of a rock, like a magnet, basically, magnetite. Anyways, my point is it turns black over time because of oxidation. It's rusting, basically. But when you run electricity through that dark black rock, it will cleanse it of all that rust, and it will become a shiny, almost white-looking mountain, and it will change from black to white every other cycle. And now you have the black and white symbolism of the nobility, of people that travel from place to place, from age to age, trying not to die, trying to rule over the places where they are. These are real actual clips, by the way, from volcanoes. You guys sent me these. I just made them into GIFs so I can share them with you. But yeah, here you can see it shoots up out of there, right? All right, so we've talked about the space show, the holograms. This is what the holograms will be. People will look up and see these and they'll interpret it however they want. It won't be lightning per se. It will actually be pillars and beams of light. Now you might see electrical strands and spirals and all kinds of other stuff, but this is just to give you an idea, okay? So they're supposed to tear down the world's religions. They're supposed to have a global space show, a holographic show up on the sky. Let's talk about mind control. So these beams of light or whatever, these holograms, according to the story, are supposed to manipulate people's minds. That the government, really, because they have this technology all across the world. I'm going back to the official story. The government is going to project voice-to-skull technology, and they're going to just tell you what to do and live. If you get a chip put in your head, yeah, I'll tell you that right now, okay? You want to start becoming a cyborg and stuff, then it's going to be real easy for the government to just put voices in your head. But for those of you who do not, here's the truth behind that, okay? Some of you are already hearing it. You're already hearing sounds that nobody else can hear, all right? Some of you are feeling sensations that nobody else can feel. This is happening now. The earth is putting out a frequency. The earth is putting out a vibration. It is changing, and we feel it. The animals feel it. The plants feel it. Not everybody. There's always anomalies and exceptions, but those of us who vibe with it, we sense it. We feel it. We hear it audibly, right? And it is a signal that is put out from the antenna of the world, and it resonates throughout everything in the world. Some who are opposed to that signal, because they have a different frequency, they'll be agitated, okay? And it will change their minds. It'll change their personalities. It'll change their concepts of good and evil and what is moral and what is justifiable and what is acceptable. Some people will lose their minds and go crazy, which I believe is going to happen the world across. And this is shown to us in the movies all the time, right? Which I believe that there's truth in the movies. I really don't think movies are like complete fiction. I just think that they're a retelling of truths. So you're going to expect to see the vast majority of the people on the surface level lose their ever-loving minds and become psychotic killers, basically, all at once. But the rest of you are being called. The rest of you are hearing a calling. You're having an awakening. Your perspectives are shifting and changing, and you're growing spiritually, physically. You're getting healthier and better. And for some of you, it's tough at first, right? And the closer we get to the end, the tougher it will be if you're late to the game. All right. But the good news is, it's mind opening. So doctors, academics, they want to call this tinnitus. Is that what it's called? They say, oh, it's just a disease that everyone on earth has. Like, not everybody, but right. A huge major portion of the population. I have it now. I can hear it. I'm just talking, I can focus in on it, but I can hear the ringing sound in my ears, right? Not because I have some physical defect, and so do you, and so do you, and so do you, and so do you, for some reason, even though we're completely different people, had completely different lives from one another. This is the electromagnetic spectrum, okay? If you can look on this side of the chart over here, you can see that the energetic waves that move through our world, through the earth, in the atmosphere, right? They start off, there's very long waves, right? The longest of these waves, they can pass through almost anything. These are called extremely low frequency waves. The earth, this is the voice of the earth, okay? This is the song of the world, and it doesn't stop. It is always singing. This pitch will change in different places at different times. And as it changes and these waves get closer and closer and closer, they turn into like X-rays, ultraviolet, the actual visible light spectrum, gamma rays over here, which is what's going to cause mutations in our very near future. But this is what I believe people are hearing, okay? On top of all the crap that's already in the air that is human-made in your overpopulated cities from place to place on an earth that is not overpopulated, but your cities are. And you're finely tuned. Many of you can feel it. I can sense it right now. I mean, I look around this room, and because of what I do, I'm surrounded by technology. So it does affect me, you know what I mean? But thankfully I have a stronger soul that overrides all this crazy radio waves, technology, electrical signals, and all this stuff that's around me right now. Lights and all that stuff. Anyways, extremely low frequency waves. It's the earth speaking to you. That's my point, okay? This voice to skull technology, yes, that people can copy what the earth naturally does anyway. Very much so. But when you see the whole world, when you see most of the earth's population hearing voices or all of a sudden going on massive exoduses, huge sabbaticals to like a particular region or something. Oh, my light changed. As I'm talking about the light changed color. Anyways, that's the earth. The earth is speaking to you. The earth is singing to you. It is sharing information with you, and you are picking up on it intuitively. So what is it saying? Well, I'm here to help you out. Okay, I can tell you what it is saying to me for sure. If that resonates with you, cool. If it helps you out, cool. Now let's talk about the alien invasion. Okay, everyone's like, oh, the aliens are going to come. Aliens can't come. This is my perspective and my cosmology. Okay, first and foremost, they would, even if you have an academic cosmology, they have to get through the Van Allen belts. And you could say, oh, well, the astronauts got through the Van Allen belts. Yeah, I'll explain that, because they say we can't get through the Van Allen belts today. So explain how the astronauts went to the moon. You know what I mean? So aliens also would have to hypothetically pass through those extreme points of radiation called the Van Allen belts, which would not be a good idea. But you could make the case they're aliens. They traveled billions of years and lived forever somehow, and they got here for some reason instead of other places along the way. And they can obviously have the technology to get through the Van Allen belts. Sweet. That's not my cosmology. My cosmology is there's a dome over the earth. There's a firmament. I know what it's made of. I know how it's produced. I know the different parts to it and the different shapes to a degree. I'm still studying it. I'm still learning about it. So no aliens, if that's true, no aliens can come into this world until that dome opens, until that firmament opens up. When that firmament does open up, it, through Archimedes' principle, right? However much of that fluid that we call atmosphere is displaced and gets sucked out will be equal to a new buoyant force. What does that mean in layman's terms? That means things will float. Like I talked about, zero gravity, right? This is why you will have this tractor beam symbolism, right? Of these beams coming up out of the ground and people floating up to the quote unquote spaceships, the UFOs, the circular objects, the lights in the sky that will appear over every major city. Why? Because they're not crafts. They don't have propulsion systems. They're not metallic. They're not saucers. They're lights. They're plasmas that are generated and attracted to places of power, particular regions of this world, dragon lines, ley lines, and they will hover, these lights, not machines, okay? Not that that's impossible, keep that in mind, but I'm saying you will see these lights, people will call them UAPs or UFOs, hovering over major cities because they're attracted, it's electromagnetic in nature, they're attracted to all that metal, they're attracted to the metal areas that are underneath those cities and those places of power, because those places of power are where your first cities were settled or found, right? Because people went to the lights in a time of darkness and they settled in the place where the light came, right? Because they didn't have flashlights and stuff after the apocalypse. Let's see. So yeah, that's why people get sucked up into the UFO or whatever. These circles in the sky though, hold on, let me skip forward a little bit here. Like for example, this whole flying saucer symbolism, the shape of it, this is what that is, okay? Down here at the bottom, this is a thunderstorm. That line at the bottom, that's the surface. This is a thunderstorm, that's a cloud. This is lightning that comes down from the cloud. Above this cloud are what are known as transient luminous events, similar to lightning, but they're just weird shapes of electricity and plasma up in the upper atmosphere that people didn't even know about 50 years ago. And now they're starting to make their appearances. The closer we get to the apocalypse, the more pressure builds up in this world, the more gases are being released from the ocean getting hotter and releasing oxygen, and the inner earth having fluctuations and releasing its gases, right? We're starting to see these strange beings. Doesn't that look like a creature with like a large head, you could say? Somebody could make the case. Well, they're called sprites or spirits, if you want to rearrange those, right? They have tendrils or tentacles, you could say. They're like jellyfish. People will interpret this in all kinds of ways. Right now, they flash, but they're starting to flash longer and longer. Lightning itself is starting to stay in the sky for longer and longer periods and more powerful and stretching further and further. We have blue jets, columns, pillars of blue light that shoot up naturally. There's different names for these, but the elf is the biggest one. It's up at the top. That elf, it's called an elf. Elf, sprites, tendrils, gnomes, pixies, jets, all that. You know, they name them purposefully those things because that's what they are. Anyways, as you can see, it looks like a flying saucer, right? And I've even seen drone shows that emulate this exact shape with a circle in the sky with like stuff that's coming down out of that circle. These are your covering angels. These are your halos. These are your angels right here. These are your halos right here. These are cherubs. They cover, and they will have wings, quote unquote wings. They go upward and downward. That's the exact shape of these sprites. But pay attention to these circles that people will see up in the heavens, and they will stay up there because of the amplified electromagnetic field, the electric field that'll be in the air. The auroras will stretch down and stay, and you'll see these circles up in the sky above every major city. So, what will other people see? Spaceships, UFOs, UAPs, etc., and so on and so forth, right? Now, that also leads us into some other parts that are a little lesser known about Project Bluebeam, which is that not only does it lead to like a new order of the world or a new state of the world, a new state of being, a new normal, etc., which is, in my opinion, better than the world as it is. I'm not talking about a dystopian future where technology and all that. No, this is a post-apocalyptic world, okay? Technological manipulation, right? There'll be strange creatures in the world, right? Some people might want to blame humans for that too, genetic manipulation and whatnot, but it's really not. Mutations are going to occur. They're occurring right now. If you watch my last Omens episode in the animal kingdom, they're occurring in humans. They just don't put that on the news as much. And they're occurring in plants, right? The world will be a foggy, misty place, and there will be mist monsters in the fog. Everything will grow to gigantic sizes because of the new oxidation event and the lesser amount of pressure in the atmosphere, allowing your body to grow bigger, right? So you have all kinds of otherworldly inner earth creatures that come to the surface. You'll have gigantism of insects, especially animals, humanoids, plants also, especially. One sec. There we go. Next up, ghosts as well. So people are going to see supernatural things starting to come to pass more and more. If you're paying attention, this is happening now already. People are seeing way more ghost sightings than they ever have. And they'll say, oh, no, it's just more people, or we just have more technology and more smartphones and people are capturing more things. No, it's happening more. Why? Because that's what a ghost is. It's spirit. It's plasma. It's electromagnetics. It's an electromagnetic field. It's points of focus of energy, and therefore information, and therefore memory, or what I call spirit memory. The whole earth will have a release of quote unquote ghosts. Okay, I know a lot of people don't really talk about the ghost aspect of Project Bluebeam, but Project Bluebeam is the plasma apocalypse, and the ghosts are a huge part of it. Spirits, right? Banshees and whatnot. Michael Graham, good to see you. High five, Michael. Welcome to my channel. So there will be ghosts all over the place, spirit forms. Some will look like balls. Some will look like toroidal fields. Some will look like little sparks and flashes in the air. Some will look like streamers. Some will look like auroras and more ethereal in nature, because that's what plasma can do. It can take all of those shapes. Now that electrical field will go into the surviving technology. The technology that doesn't get sucked up and leave this world, or sunk down into the earth and destroyed or smashed or whatever. The surviving technology, especially humanoid robots, which they're producing by the millions right now. They want to make 8 billion, 10 billion robots just like this, okay? They might not give them guns yet, but they want to make, and they are making right now, enough robots to replace the human population with one robot each, maybe even more. Actually, I'm gonna say more. Why? Because the fertility rates are on the decline. That means if they're aiming to put one robot in each home, like each of you probably has one smartphone or cell phone or whatever, right? Think of it like cars, right? If they made one smartphone for everybody right now, then they would have to aim for like 10 million. They'd have to make a bunch. But if the population goes down because of the fertility rates going down, these will outnumber us. And these will come alive. Just like we talked about during the Carrington event in the 1800s, whenever the auroras once more stretched down into the lower regions and they brought to life the telegraph machines. Those machines attacked their operators. The machines rose up, you could say. It depends on your perspective, right? But the machines had a life of their own. They electrocuted people. They hurt people. Imagine self-driving cars that lose their GPS signal and that have no idea which way is north or south. And they lock the doors while you're in it, and they just start driving around on their own, and they go into a lake or off a cliff or whatever. The machines will turn on you one of these days, okay? Watch out for these humanoid ones too, right? And the humanoid ones are only going to get more and more advanced and stuff. But that's another aspect of the plasma apocalypse. Now, once that is all over and done with, the blue beams project up out of the ground. The gases ionize as the inner earth and the surface world depressurize. Those gases move about from place to place. You'll have the beams that shoot up. People today are tapping into an ancient truth. Okay, it doesn't have to be a secret government document. We could just be tapping into an ancient truth or our ancient oblivion together, subconsciously, across the world. And we can be manifesting these stories as the time draws near. There's prophecies that talk about how as the time draws near, as the apocalypse is on the way, right? that there will be a rise in prophets. There will be a rise in seers. There will be a rise in dreamers. People that have an ability unlike others, where they just have a deep, intimate knowing of certain things. They can feel what is on the way. And sometimes it manifests in dream form or in song form or creative mediums and whatnot. Anyways, after that's all over, the beams shoot up. People will see the stick figures in the sky. Some people will think that they're gods that have returned, or saviors, or birds, or giants, or titans, or whatever it may be. It will be Ragnarok. The whole world will be torn apart through massive worldwide earthquakes. There will be mist covering everything, everywhere. It'll be foggy. It'll be dark. And I haven't even scratched the surface. My book covers a lot more, which you can find on JayDreamerZ.com. But when that's all said and done, there's good news. And that's the golden age, okay? That's when things calm down. That's when the world goes back into a state of equilibrium, right? When all of the gases settle and the survivors have stronger muscular structures. They're denser and stuff in this new world that's not as dense as the old one. And they're able to move megalithic bricks and huge objects and stuff as if they had superpowers. Giants and gigantism is reintroduced into this world. Telepathy is reintroduced into this world because of an increase in the electrical field in the atmosphere. There's a lot of gifts. There are a lot of positive benefits to surviving what is to come. But we have to get through it. You live in the New World Order. The good news is the Golden Age is on the way. In order to get to that Golden Age, we need the blue beams to project. We need Project Bluebeam to happen. And that's my presentation for today. I highly recommend checking out my Patreon, especially if you want your name in the credits. I am trying to get... Don't ask me why, okay? I'll talk about it on Patreon, but I want to get my first tattoo. All right, I want to get a whole plasma apocalypse piece from my arm up to my chest. If tattoos are not your thing, that's totally fine, but I am going to get mine. Okay, I've decided. So if you want to chip in for that, you can do that as well. I'm sure I put something up here about it as well. I put a picture of like an idea. So if you want to go see, you know, my tattoo idea, and if you want to check out my other stuff that I've just posted, my road trip and some other stuff on Patreon, go check that out. Join my Patreon. There's also some chats. You can go talk to the other people in the Good Vibe Tribe over on my Patreon channel. And I'm honored. I have 104,000 subscribers today. And I don't even advertise. Like, it's just word of mouth. So it's really an honor. I love to do this for you guys. I love to do this for my kids. I've met amazing, beautiful people because of my path that I walk. And I'm excited to meet a bunch more. Until next time, I'm JayDreamer saying good vibes and goodbye.
In a time when an ancient cataclysm is about to return, one book holds the key to unlocking the biggest secret in all of history. JayDreamerZ presents Ancient Oblivion, the Plasma Apocalypse. Study it, and you'll discover the very real details behind the reoccurring event that resets civilizations and reshapes the entire world. Bridging the gap between fiction and fact, this book is a must-have for all truth seekers. Then in his second book, you'll learn about the one place of refuge from this world storm. You'll explore the ends of the earth, find the fountain of youth, and envision yourself enveloped in the vapor canopy. In Ancient Oblivion, Return to Hyperborea. Available now. Order direct from JayDreamerZ and receive your very own autographed copy. Go to JayDreamerZ.com for more information on our Ancient Oblivion and the Plasma Apocalypse, and sign up for a free 24-hour cram session with a complimentary day pass. The end is near, so order now before it's too late.
is forcing me to stay. It'd be easier on me if I turn away to flee.
But there's something holding on, the way of being long gone. There's so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Find so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. I'll try so hard to fade away, but something's forcing me to stay. It'd be easier for me if I turn away to flee. Oh. But there's something holding on in the way of being long gone. There's so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Far too many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up.